Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special edition, a recorded edition of the Paranormal Guys, or the Sportcat Show, however you want to choose it. Happy New Year to you, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. And we've got a special guest for you tonight. And as well, I always have a hot co-host. I have the wonderful Erin. So, how are you?
I am good. I'm eagerly awaiting this new year.
Well, we all are. Well, let's get right to it because I know his time is precious. He's coming to us live from, well, a different part of the world. Mark Anthony, how are you, sir?
Excellent. Thank you, Glenn. And Happy New Year to you all. I really wish that 2025 brings you all the happiness, all the dreams and goals that you've wished for. So thank you. And welcome, Erin.
Thank you.
So you call yourself the Rogue Hypnotist. Tell us a little bit about that and how you got started.
Sure, absolutely. I call myself the Rogue Hypnotist because as a kid, I was a complete street rogue. I grew up in a one-parent family. Mum then got remarried, but even during that time, between her getting remarried and the new partner or the new husband, I was just an absolute rogue. I had my first puff on a cigarette at 5 years old. I didn't inhale it, by the way, but I had my first puff at 5. Everyone around me smoked. There was no good role models. So I then started wanting attention because we grew up in a family of, like I say, one parent. On my birth certificate, it actually says that I was born in a caravan. So as you can probably guess, it wasn't a great upbringing. However, Mum did her best, like most single parents. If they're good single parents, they do their best. And then I just started really seeking attention from other places because Mum sort of liked to go out every now and again, more sort of now than again. And so, we would be left alone sometimes. I'd stay with the neighbour's kid and we were only young ourselves. So I sought attention somewhere else and I started lighting fires and I'd get a lot of attention from that. And as you said off camera, Glenn, you were a firefighter in your day. And so, now I have a lot of respect for police, firefighters. I really do. And I'm always grateful for their service. So it was something that it started from there. And then I would be out all night. I'd just be doing all the wrong things, and as I got older, I then got put into a children's home. And they call it a children's home, but to be quite honest with you, it's probably one of the worst places. Later on, I got put into a juvenile detention centre, which wasn't as bad as the children's home, to be honest. So I got put in the children's home between 8 and 12. And, it's absolutely terrible. That was a place where it was mental abuse, sexual abuse. You had some good people looking after you, but you had the ones that were sort of quite mean. And a lot of the kids in there obviously had no parents. So they were just complete rogues as well. So that's where Rogue Hypnotist came about. I believe that I was a complete street rogue. I turned my life around completely. I'm probably one of the most honest people that you could ever meet now. And so when they say a leopard can't change its spots, that's absolute rubbish. They can change their spots. That's an absolute guarantee. If, Glenn, and only if they want to, if they choose to, because it's all about that. You can't say you're going to do it and not have the want. I had the want. Like I say, no role models. So I just had to turn it around myself. And that's where the Rogue Hypnotist came from.
Okay. You started reading books about the different psychological effects of people's, I would say, minds, brains.
Oh, honestly, Glenn, the only thing that got me through the early days was reading motivational quotes. Like I say, I had nobody around me that had any aspirations, any dreams or goals. So I just read every single thing I could, books, motivational quotes, because back then, you see, the internet wasn't big at all. And there was obviously no mobile phones. So I had to get my hands on anything and everything that I could. And I might see something in a newspaper, so I would sort of read it in the newspaper. There were certain things at school that I was good at. I loved English, quite enjoyed maths. I wasn't great. I don't believe the school system does a lot for kids, to be honest with you. And that's no offense to teachers. They're just doing what they're told. And they don't learn about real life. Nobody learns about real life in school. And so I had to learn it the way I could. And to get me through the bad days, I would read motivational quotes. I'd listen to tapes. I joined later on, and I must say it was very, very good at the time. I joined a company, and they're a huge American company. You'll probably both laugh at this, but I don't mind. I can take it. It was Amway, a company called Amway. Yeah. And I joined them only because I liked the sort of people that were there.
Yeah.
They were motivated. They were happy. They were, all these things that I aspired to be. So I joined them, and I really got put off at a certain time. Oh, sorry, there's a lovely dog in the background, Erin.
Oh.
It's a beautiful dog. Hello. Sorry, we go off
I
course
do
a bit.
all the time with him. Sorry.
Sorry, my apology. I love animals, so so I joined them, and the only reason I left them is because one day I went to one of these meetings, and one of the speakers actually said, listen, if your family and your friends don't want to buy anything from you, they're not your family or friends.
What?
And that instantly, yeah, I promise you, that's the absolute truth. And it put me off completely, because what they don't understand, if they've never been in that position, is my family some weeks, we used to buy clothes on a weekly basis. My mum had to pay for our clothes weekly because we just didn't have the money. I remember times when she would hide, we would all have to hide when the guy came round to collect the money. And that was only £1 a week because we just didn't have the money. So £1, obviously equivalent of $1, for instance. And so these people had no idea that my family there's no way, the cheapest product to clean the dishes was, I don't know, let's say $25, $30. And, that to us would have been a lot of money. That would have been a week's shopping for myself, my 3 sisters and mum. And it put me off, and I left them. I missed I missed all that motivation side of it and everything. So I then had to find another way of getting that motivation. And I did. And I just kept doing it and kept doing it. And then eventually I started reading a lot more books. I do love to read, I must say. So I started reading a lot more books. Then I would meet different people. I do love people. So I make friends quite easy, in the respect that I do love people, and I think people feel that. So I genuinely made good friends at the time. Some of them were going places, some of them weren't. I lost 4 friends at the time to drugs. I've now lost 9 friends to drugs in the UK that I grew up with. And the sort of people I needed to be with weren't the ones that were interested in carrying on with drugs and everything else. So I started turning my life around. The only thing is, what I will say about people, certain motivational speakers will say, change your mindset, change your life. I don't believe that. I believe you've got to change your environment first. Then you change your mindset, then you change your life. Because if you're still around those people that have no dreams, no goals, that are, quite happy to carry on taking drugs or do the wrong thing, you're soon going to go back to that type of thinking.
Yeah.
So I believe you've got to change your environment first, then your mindset, and then your life. That's what I believe. And I did. I stopped the drugs. I was an angry kid, very, very angry kid, because I didn't feel there was anything to aspire to. I had no dreams, no goals, no ambitions when I was a kid. So car theft to me was nothing. It was nothing that I just did it. I did that. I never used to break the cars up, but I never used to smash them up. I used to leave them on the side of the road so that the police could find them. They were just a transport home for me or somewhere else. And I know some people would go, well, you shouldn't have fucking stolen the car in the first place. Correct. I shouldn't, but I did. And you can't go back and change things. You can change what you're doing in the future. You can't go back and change things. Life, I always say cars, you've got a big window screen in a car at the front. And that big window screen is so that you can see where you're going. You've got a clear view of where you're going. You've then got a tiny little rear view mirror. That's so that you don't have to keep looking back. So I always believe just keep looking forward. We can use our backstory to inspire other people, but we don't need to keep looking back and whinging and whining that, the world did us no good and people around us were this shit and that shit. No, it's, there's a great saying. I love motivational quotes. They're really what got me through the younger years. One of the quotes is, too many people take a bad 5 minutes and they milk it. And they milk it for a week and then a month, then a year, then their life. And I see many clients like this until we turn them around. And, quotes to me, some people will read them and get nothing from them. I read them and get so much from them. So as I got older, like I say, I stopped the drugs. I stopped all of that. I started opening my own businesses. I had no idea what I was doing, but I just knew that I wanted to go somewhere. I obviously got called names by a lot of the people that I hung around with, especially when I was at Amway. They used to call me the Soap Suds Kid. And, I found that quite funny. I don't get hurt by names, not anymore. When I was younger, because we were so sort of poor, if somebody made fun of me for having food stamps at school, I'd get very, very pissed off. Yeah. So, in fact, I would sell the food stamps at school for less than what they were worth so that I could go and pay cash. Yeah. So, you've got that real, as somebody that grows up in that environment, you've got that real, that dislike for being called certain names. And one of them was because I wanted to aspire to something better. When people would see you paying buy food stamps and things, you're tarred with the same brush as many of the others. And so I would sell them and, like I say, pay cash. And then my life started changing completely. I started just looking forward, not backwards. I was a real hypochondriac as a kid as well. I'd be at the doctor's nearly every day as a kid because you just want that attention from somebody of authority, but you want a better attention than even the police. When I got arrested, that's attention. I was still getting attention. And I know many kids are like that, and it's a shame, but it does work that way. And the attention that I as an entertainer, because I perform shows sometimes, I've performed shows up to 10,000 people. I've been on TV, I've been on radio. So although it's attention, I suppose it's the sort of attention nowadays that I love to see people laugh. That attention, then just seeing that audience laugh. If I see a therapy client walk away and they start changing their life because they don't milk that bad 5 minutes anymore, that's the sort of attention I love. I love the attention of them saying to me, look, I laughed so much in that show. I've never laughed so much in years. You've changed my life for me. Helped me change my life. Thank you so much. That's the attention I enjoy now. Whereas as a kid, Glenn, you wouldn't have been very happy because you would have been the one putting out the fires. Yeah.
Well, you got to think about this. A lot of, I'm not admitting anything, but a lot of kids that want to be firemen also do that. So
absolutely. Yes. And some firemen do it apparently, don't they? It's something that they set the fires just so they can come and put them out. I've heard stories of that. So is that why you're sitting there doing this rather than fireman, Glenn? Come on, you can be honest.
No, I'm sure my audience would get bored with the story, but I was attacked on duty by pit bull. And so my left hand, I can grab and it functions, but there's not enough strength. So the orthopedic surgeon said, I'm not releasing you. Is you climbing a ladder, you slip, that's the only hand, you got a glove on anyhow. And then what are you going to do? You're going to fall. He goes, I'm going to be responsible. And he was a very good man. He was probably one of the most excellent hand surgeons in the world. And that broke me.
Wow.
That broke me. And I've told this story, and I'm sure my fans are like rolling their eyes, but that day in his office, I had brought my wife because I fully anticipated he was going to release me. It was going to be a thing. We we're going to lunch, dinner. And when he told me, you're not going to be able to be a firefighter paramedic anymore, I broke down like I never have broken down in my life. And I mean, I was like a little baby crying, and I have no problem saying this. That's when the PTSD really hit me as a firefighter paramedic from some of the things I've seen and done. And I'm lucky he didn't call an ambulance and have me put away that day, to be perfectly honest. Wow. But as an orthopedic surgeon, he looked at me, he goes, I cannot diagnose you, son, but you have PTSD. And I'm like, no, I don't. This wasn't the news I was expecting. Yeah. And then I got the label. And once you get that label of PTSD over here in the States, a lot of people, especially when a public safety job, treat you differently. And I became a number, not only because it cost them about $500,000 to repair my hand and make it functioning again. That was part of it, but now I was crazy too. So
wow.
So it took we went through a long legal process here in the States. Let me tell you, the local governments and even probably the federal, state governments don't take care of their employees like they should. You become a number. It was a long legal battle. Cost lots of money with attorneys and things, and finally they just said, we're done with you, you're retired. I'm like, I'm 55, what the hell? So, wow. I can still hop in. To this day, I still feel like I could go hop on a fire truck. My wife and I argue about this frequently. Yeah. And I just realized yesterday I'm not 55, I'm 57. I time traveled yesterday. I don't know how the hell that happened. And she told me, she said, will you stop telling people you're 55? I said, that's how old I am. She goes, you're 57, dumbass.
Yeah.
But she pushed me out. She wanted to do this whole YouTube thing, but she wasn't brave enough. So she says, why don't you start it? You like to talk to people. And so I did. And I started talking to people about Bigfoot. You can see my old buddy down there in a corner, because I'd had an experience and I wanted to hear from others and learn things. And then they started talking about ghosts. And then from there we went to other things. And after this show, actually, we're not just going to be a paranormal show. We entertain authors, educators, athletes, everybody. It's going to be the Sportcat show. So you're on the very first Sportcat show.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
Well, hey, I'm glad to have you. And actually, I was thinking about this as you were talking. What you're saying is so good to a person at the beginning of a new year that wants to put that in the rear view. So I think it might have been fate that brought us together, and probably Aaron's bottle of wine. So
I'm surprised Aaron's still sitting up straight.
Not seen anything.
You can't see it. I'm propped up from here down, so it's all good.
Broomstick behind it. So, but yeah, I mean, what you said strikes a chord so much for people that what do you call it? Your New Year's resolution.
Yes.
So perfect timing.
I think it's one of those things, and like I say, well done to you, Glenn. It's a shame that you sort of lost your dream job, and see, that's what I say to people, and you know this, and I'm sure everyone knows this. When you're doing something you love, it's not work. I've been doing this 22 years. It's not work, honestly. This isn't work to me. Talking to you two, this is fun. It's not work, and yet I might go and see a client who's having the worst years of their life after this podcast. So it's not work. I tend to, because I can relate to so many of my clients and what they're going through, because I've been through the domestic violence, I've been through the sexual abuse, the mental abuse, the physical abuse, I've been through the drugs, I've been through the prison, the young offenders prison. I've been through children's homes. I've been through I was a complete thief, like I said. And yet, it's funny, years ago, Glenn, the bizarre thing is, years ago, I would have stolen anything that was sitting around, and it got me in a lot of trouble. But that again was an attention thing. And yet now, oh my God, if I found something on the side of the road, and it's happened many times, a wallet or a handbag that's just sitting at a bus stop or on the road, a wallet or something, I'm straight onto Facebook. Anyone lost this, or community group. I'm so, in 22 years, I've never had a blemish against my name as a hypnotist. So, and I'm very proud of that because of where I came from. So when people make excuses all the time, even clients, I'm one for sympathy. I have sympathy. It then goes to empathy, but then it stops at a certain level. Because if I say, for instance, I don't know, let's say, for instance, you came to me, Glenn, and you said, look, I've got a problem with smoking. And I say, okay, well, I can help that, no problem at all. And we do the session. I've got the sympathy for you because I used to be a 30-a-day smoker. I used to be 16 kilos heavier. So I've been the smoker. I've been the overweight person. I know what it's like to be there. So I know how hard it is to stop smoking for some people. So if I said to you, okay, look, I know what we need to do, let's do it. So I would have the sympathy for you that you're a smoker, because I know what it's like to be in that smoking trap. I would then say to you, okay, you need to listen to this recording daily. I'll send you an email every day, which is what I do. You read my Stop Smoking book, Happy Non-Smoker book, and then keep doing it, and it will get less and less, and you may stop on the first session. If they go away and they come back to me after 3 weeks and they go, it's done nothing, I didn't stop, which is very rare, by the way, I will tell you. And if they say to me, and if I say to them, okay, have you listened to the recording daily? Have you read the book? Oh, I didn't have time. I didn't have. Well, fuck you then. It's your fault. I don't have any empathy for you anymore. Yeah. I really don't. And that's because I've been through all those things. I know you have to work hard to come out of the other side. So it's not that I'm an arsehole. It's because I've been through all those things. I know that you have to be tough. It's tough love. I promise you, it's tough love. When I speak to a client and I'm tough with them, some of them get quite offended. I don't care, because I'm doing it out of tough love. And, so if I say, well, look, you've done nothing to help yourself then. And, and that's what they do. So then they listen to me because they can see I'm getting tough. And I don't like confrontation. It's not something I enjoy. However, I will say to a client, look, it's you that's fucked up, not the system, not what we've done. Are we allowed to swear on here, by the way? It's a bit late now, I suppose, really.
Oh, yeah. This isn't going to be on radio or anything. We're just
okay.
on
all right.
YouTube. You're good.
That's all right. Good. Well, I was going to say, after Erin drinking that bottle, she might have a few blasphemies coming out of there soon. So you never know. So I stop at a certain, empathy. I stop at a certain level. And people can say, oh, that's a bit, it's a bit rough, a bit rough. It's not very nice of you to be that. You should be doing this and do. No. I know what you have to do to push yourself through these things. And it's not easy for some people. It's really not. But you either, if you want to listen to me, I coach people as well. And if you want to listen to me, listen. If you don't, because I will hold you accountable for everything. If I've given you something to do and you don't do it, you're accountable. Don't start blaming me. Don't start blaming the fact that your cat had to be put down. Don't start blaming the fact that you and your partner split up, because that's just an excuse. Mm-hmm. We can all think of excuses. I go and get my shoes mended, and the shoe mender uses the same glue that I used to sit with in a glue bag and just get away from the world when I was younger. That was my main go-to. I did the marijuana, I did the coke, but my main go-to was glue in a glue bag, glue sniffing. And, it just took me away from everything when I was younger. So when I go to the shoe menders, he uses the same sort of glue, believe it or not. It's called Evo Stick glue. So when I smell it, I still enjoy the smell. It's like marijuana. If I walk past somebody who's having a marijuana joint, I still like the smell. But does it mean to say that I have to say to the shoe mender, right, give me a bag, give me some of that glue, I'm going to go and sit in the corner? No, of
I
course
need
not.
a hit, man. I need a hit.
That's it. Does it mean to say that I, walk over and ask one of my friends, look, you're having a joint. I love the smell. Can I sit there and have one with it? I don't. We can choose not to. And that's where the difference is. Some people will use any excuse that they've gone back to what they shouldn't have been doing. I always say to people, you're addicted because you're addicted to something that's addictive. That's it. You're not addicted because you've got an addictive personality. I truly don't believe there's a lot of people that have got an addictive personality, if any. You're addicted to something that's addictive, because somebody who's not a drug addict isn't addicted to the drugs. Somebody who's not a smoker isn't addicted to smoking. Somebody who's not an alcoholic or doesn't drink isn't addicted to alcohol. You're addicted to something that's addictive. You're not addicted to going to put your shoes on and walking out the door. You're not addicted to going and doing the washing up. Can you see what I mean? Because they're not addictive things. You're
We were
addicted.
actually just having this conversation about alcohol before before you came in. So yeah.
Is that when Aaron was going, cheers? Yeah. That would have been cheers.
Well, what we were saying is that, I don't drink, like I drink probably more than I should, but I don't consider myself an alcoholic. I don't need that. I don't feel the need to drink. I can go months without drinking, and then I'll drink socially, and I'll drink maybe once a week. I don't drink every day. I drink sometimes just because it's relaxing and it's fun and I like the taste, but I don't drink to get drunk. That just happens to be a happy side effect.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, Aaron. Like, I enjoy a glass of wine. I'll have a glass of wine. I won't drink most of the time during the week, but on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'll have a drink. I enjoy a glass of wine. That's why I said to you at the beginning, is it Shiraz? Shiraz is my go-to wine. I like a Merlot as well, but I do like a Shiraz. So again, it's one of those things where you either stop yourself from drinking 5 bottles, or you don't. You carry on drinking 5 bottles a day. I've had clients. One client, can I tell a story about a client? I think you'll find it interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just about a guy. This guy was a multi-millionaire, and he was drinking 3 bottles of wine a day, red wine per day. And he came to me because he'd been recommended to me by somebody I'd helped stop smoking at the time. And he came to me and he said, look, I've been to 2 other hypnotherapists. He said, I've been to 3 psychologists. He said, I've been on one of these cleansing retreats. He said, I've tried everything. He said, my doctor's given me things, blah, blah. Anyway, so what I'm getting at is we've got to have a pain. It's got to be painful for us sometimes to stop what we're doing. So for somebody who drinks 3 bottles a day, he's got there's nothing, he's got no reason to stop in his head. That's how he looks at it. Mm-hmm. And I said to him, okay, I said, look, let's go through some things then. And I'll try and cut the story short, because I know you haven't got obviously every hour in the world to sort of listen to me, but it's a really good story and I think you'll enjoy it. So I said to him, okay, look, I noticed on your form that you've got 2 kids. And he said, yeah. I said, you love your kids? He said, they're my life. He said, they are my life. I said, okay. I said, you're obviously very, very successful in business. And he said, yeah. He pulled up to my office in a Bentley Mulsanne Turbo. He had a $70,000 watch on his arm. He wasn't cocky or arrogant. He was actually a really nice guy. And I said to him, were you handed it on a platter? A silver plate? He said, no. He said, I worked from nothing. I built it from absolutely nothing. And he said, look, I said, are you a man of your word? He said, oh, absolutely. He said, if I told you could have my business for $1 million today, and somebody offered me 2 million later on this afternoon, this was in the morning, he said, you would get it tomorrow at $1 million. He said, I'm an absolute man of my word, a handshake man, spit and handshake. He said, that's it. I said, good. That's all I need to know about you. I said, I know what I want to do in the session. And he went, really? He said, I've only been here 15 minutes. I said, yeah, I know what I want to do. Anyway, so what I did, this is where it's not all about hypnosis sometimes. It's about you having the want and the mindset change in here. So I said to him, all right, just close your eyes for me. And he closed his eyes. And we don't have to get great results, Glenn and Erin. We don't have to be deep in hypnosis to get great results. Okay, I could talk to people and I get many great results before we even do the hypnosis. So this is what I actually said to him. I said, close your eyes. And he closed his eyes because now I know that this man is a handshake man. He's a man of his word. And I also know that he absolutely adores his children. They're his life. So I said, okay, close your eyes. So I closed his eyes and I just did a nice gentle relaxation. So he wasn't deep, not at all. I said, right. I said, now I want you to imagine, because it's all about using the imagination. It's not about anything else, because we picture things in our head all the time. So I said to him, I want you to imagine now inviting your two children into the room. And he went, I said, just imagine that. Imagine inviting your children into the room. So he invited his children into the room in his head. And I said, just nod your head gently when they're there, when you can imagine them being right there in front of you. And he went, I said, right, I want you now to put out your hand. I want you to shake their hand and swear to your children on their lives, if you have to, that you'll never, ever drink 3 bottles of wine again a day, a bottle at the most. And he went, I said, please go ahead and do it. And I said, just nod your head when you've done that. And he went, he never drank 3 bottles of wine again a day. He phoned me 3 months later. He said, if I drink a bottle a day, he said, it's a miracle. He said, that's it. It's all about here. It's about having that switch, and it's about having the want and the pain that you have to go through sometimes. His pain was the fact that if he ever drank more than 1 bottle, that he would think his children are going to
Hate him for life. Yeah.
get injured or being, So, and some people go, oh, that's a bit fucking rough doing it like that. Not really, because we've got to have that pain. You've got to have something that's painful. If you've tried other things, you've got to have something that's painful. And that was his pain. And he was so appreciative because it changed his life. And so the mindset is very, very powerful when you've got something to work towards. And when you make that immediate decision, it's like women that are pregnant. You know, when women come to me and they want to stop smoking, many of them will say, has anyone been pregnant before? And many of the ladies will put their hand up. And I say, okay, so when you got pregnant, did you stop smoking? And they go, oh, yeah, definitely. I stopped immediately when I found out I was pregnant, because they switched the switch.
Mhm.
Yeah, we've all got that switch. That's a real want. You know, when they stop like that, that's that real want. That they've switched the switch. Yeah, no way, I'm not smoking. I'm pregnant. So everybody's got it within them. This guy had it because his pain would have been much worse if he had drank more than 1 bottle. So he switched that switch and went, I'll never drink any more than 1 bottle again. And he didn't.
So
We've just got to switch.
how did you, like, where does hypnosis come into this for you? I mean, you talk about your background, you explained all of that, but where does the hypnosis piece come from?
I actually watched a hypnotist in the UK probably 35 years ago, and he was amazing. He's world famous. He's called Paul McKenna. He's probably one of my heroes. He wouldn't know he is, but he is. And I saw one of his shows, and I thought, there's no way this is real. There's no way. It can't be real. And so I started looking into it a bit more and started reading some books on it, and that's what really got me into it. And then obviously I started realizing that what I'd been doing over the years by reading these affirmations, by speaking to certain people and getting them to do certain things in a good way, and then speaking to myself and getting myself to do certain things, that was hypnotism. Because all you're doing is you're putting people into a state where they take things on board. Everybody's hypnotized every single day. They just don't know it.
Mhm.
We all go in and out of hypnosis. It's called trance. We all go in and out of trance many, many times every single day. And I didn't realize this at the time. It's only when I started getting into hypnosis a lot more. It's like when you're driving your car. So you're driving your car home, and all of a sudden you go through all these traffic lights, and all of a sudden you're home and you go, oh, I'm
How
here
did I
already.
get
What
here?
happened?
Here.
Yeah, that's because you went into a trance. You know, if you're reading a book or you're sort of on your phone or your computer, and you're really engrossed in a movie or a video or something, or reading this book and you're really engrossed in the book, and then somebody starts calling you and they go, Glenn, Erin, are you listening? Can you hear me? Oh, excuse me, I've called you 5 times. And you go, oh, sorry. That's because you were in a trance. Everybody goes in and out of trance many, many times a day. We just don't know it. That's why all these shops that you walk into a shop and they've got certain music playing, that's hypnotic. It's all done for a purpose. They spend millions upon millions of dollars every year on picking the right music, the right sounds, how they've got things on shelves. Yeah, it's all done, and that's just hypnosis. It's all suggestion.
So with the, I mean, even to me, I'm in your generation. It's become easier for me to slip into these states because, you know, TikTok videos and things, they call it doom scrolling now. So it's just now you get into this haze. Is that something that you're
That's
finding
it.
has, made it easier for you to get somebody into that place?
No, because honestly, Aaron, it was probably easier years ago because people are more prone to watching that sort of stuff now, and they're sort of going, oh, nobody can hypnotize me. Nobody can, and they fight against it. So it's like anything. If you fight against it, it's not going to work. If people say I can't be hypnotized, they're right. If people say I can be hypnotized, they're right. So it's because so many more people are more aware of hypnosis nowadays, a lot more aware. I mean, it's so prevalent. It's everywhere now. Every time I sort of go on Facebook or Instagram or X, there's ads coming up of people training for hypnotherapy because there's no governing body,
True.
which is absolutely terrible. I will tell you that there's no governing body, because hypnosis in the wrong hands can be so dangerous. If some of the people that I hypnotize, they are so susceptible and so vulnerable once they're hypnotized, it's ridiculous. And so in the wrong hands, it's not a good thing. In the right hands, it's good. But then somebody actually put it to me one day that it's like going into a hardware store and you buy a hammer. So anyone can go in and buy a hammer. So anyone can be trained in hypnosis. However, if they go out and bang a nail in the wall with that hammer, that's the right thing. If they go out and smash somebody in the head with the hammer, that's the wrong thing. So if somebody's trained to be a hypnotist and they do the right thing, that's a good thing. If they go and do it use it in a wrong way, of course it's the wrong thing. We can keep looking at anything in life that way. And that's the thing, I suppose, like you said it earlier, Aaron, you and I like a drink. I don't know if Glenn drinks, but we like a red wine. Oh, you do? Okay, so we like a wine. So we can either choose to have that wine and just be nice and happy and enjoy the wine, or we can choose to get really drunk and go out and smash things up and beat people up and, domestic violence and all that sort of stuff. That's the wrong thing to do. So, it's all about choice, what you do with things. So hypnosis is the same. You can either choose to be a really good hypnotherapist and a stage hypnotist, or you can choose to be a really terrible hypnotherapist and a terrible stage hypnotist. And I chose to go the right way instead of the wrong way. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I look at it, you have the therapy side of it.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a dual natured thing. You have the hypnosis side of it, which kind of opens you up to the therapy. And then you have the therapy side of it. The therapy side, therapists are heavily regulated. You cannot just give somebody a hammer and then direct them to go kill people. It's so regulated. So why isn't the hypnosis side of it more regulated? You're opening people up. You're getting them to explore more. You're pointing the hammer towards the wall at that with using the hypnosis. you're pointing it, you're directing it. And now here's the therapy that says you're either going to go hit the nail, or you're going to hit the person next to it. Why isn't there more direction? Why isn't there more of a governing body surrounding it?
I totally agree. And I've looked into that many times. I've got some domain names that would cover that if it ever came about, because I've spoken to many hypnotists. There was a guy here, Martin St. James, many, many years ago, that tried getting it passed in government. They didn't pass it. See, the problem you've got, hypnotherapists, anybody, I could train somebody in hypnotherapy in one day. My training was 3 days, and it's not the training, the amount of training you do, because I could train you to hypnotize somebody in 5 minutes. Well, maybe not 5, but 15. It's what you do with it after. Mm-hmm. It's like being a fireman. You know, anyone could learn to be a fireman, and they might be able to learn to hold a hose in a day. They might be able to learn to climb a ladder in a day and point the hose up there to go over the fire, however it works. So you could learn that in a day. Does that mean to say you're going to be a good fireman? Of course it doesn't. Mm-hmm. It's what you put in after the training that makes you better. And that's the same as hypnosis. You know, I could train somebody in 20 minutes, but are they going to be a good hypnotherapist? No. It's what they put in after.
You were talking about quotes. It reminded me of one of the greatest instructors at the fire academy, because you get in a lull with the fire department, and you know it's okay. We're going to kick the door and we're going to spray some water. Yay! You know, and there's more to it than that. But
yeah,
during the training session after the end, when we're all hot and tired and wore out, and he's got us up there, he goes, and he was talking more to the younger kids. He says, I want you to learn something every day you can about a job that's trying to kill you every day it can. And that stuck home with me because, you know, you get lost. I was like, he's absolutely right. I mean, we could walk into this burning building and fall through the floor today, you know, and use your training, learn, keep learning. And that was, so when you were talking about your quotes, that was one of the quotes in my training that has just stuck with me. And I've tried to pass it on, push it forward, because it's so true. And you can apply it to anything, really, like you said. And going back to the Amway thing, Radio Shack, I don't know if you had them over there, but they used to train similar, you know, Zig Ziglar and stuff like that. And right out of high school, I worked for this Radio Shack. And they said, to close the sale, no matter what, if you see the man reach over and tap his butt to make sure he's got his wallet, hook it. You're done. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is bullshit. And I catch myself doing it now with my wife. Damn it.
Yes. Yeah. There's some great salespeople.
Yeah, it's a telltale sign. When you see a man reach for his wallet and he's with a woman, you better hook that sale.
Absolutely. And there's some great salespeople out there, and I love that. I mean, I'm not a pushy salesperson. I've never have been. I believe if I've got a product that sells, you don't need to push people to buy it. And I've never sold a product. Well, I have in the younger days when I was trying to sort of, you know, move forward. I probably sold things that I really didn't want to sell, and it would have showed. It would have showed that I really didn't believe in the product, and you know, and it shows. It really does. So I do like salespeople. Some of them piss me off, but that's because they're too pushy. And I believe when you've got a product that sells, it's like your podcast. I came on here because I don't care that you're not a Joe Rogan. I saw the fun that you lot had when I watched a couple of your videos. So that to me is the main thing. If I can go on and have fun with you, then that's good for me. So you didn't need to sell me your podcast, because I looked at a couple of videos. I look at the things I've turned podcasts down before, but I looked at it and I'm not looking at the size of the audience. I'm looking at the people that are on there. You may become as big as Joe Rogan. You may not. It doesn't matter to me. We've had fun. Well, I hope you think we've had fun. And or if we've not had fun, Erin's had a few more. So that's a good thing. So to me, it's about, you know, you didn't need to sell it. So you've done a great job on this. And like I say, I'm actually enjoying it. I did one the other day and it was great fun. And this one today I've enjoyed. It's been a completely different type of podcast. It's great
It
fun.
was funny. When I first messaged you, you're like, "Oh, you must have me mistaken for somebody else." I'm like, "No, I've checked you out. It's you that I
Yeah.
want."
Yeah, I think you might have been after a guy. He's absolutely fantastic. He's another hypnotist. I never bag other hypnotists because I look at them. People always say to me, "Don't you get jealous of other hypnotists? You know, stomping on your ground or doing." I go, "No, I don't look at anyone as any competition." And it's not that's not an ego thing. It's a thing where we're all different. So you know, the other hypnotists are very different to me. I'm different to them. So we don't need to compete. There's plenty of business out there for everybody. So I thought you were after a guy called Mark Uzek, and I hope I've pronounced that right if he ever gets to see this. But he's fantastic, absolutely amazing. And him and his wife travel America constantly doing shows, motivational talks. He does therapy. And that's who I thought you were actually looking for. But it turns out that you weren't. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, I saw, and one of the things that impresses me, you say you do this on cruise lines.
Yeah.
I guess it's the entertainment side.
Yeah.
Maybe a little of both. I don't know. How do you get 20 people up on the stage at once hypnotized? That
Okay.
just,
Well, honestly, Glenn, do you know I've had the most that anyone's ever had on a cruise ship? I had 102 people on stage, and I ended up with 89 that were hypnotized. Some of them not as deep as others, obviously, but 89 people. I was like a headless chicken, just watching it because I'm so safety. I'm so protective with anyone on stage with me. I look after them so well. And so I was pacing up and down, just watching every single person like an eagle eye, you know, just and 89 people. It was hard because you've got so many people that are they're different personalities, and so you've got people that are, you know, they might be, you know, you might ask them to play the piano, so you'll get some that are there like this, and you'll get others that are like this. So when you've got so many different types of personalities on the stage, it's very hard to sort of keep track of if you're not experienced. So another hypnotist that I know recently, he did the show, and this wasn't his fault, but the one of the guys tripped on one of the other people, fell over and broke his arm or his hand, his wrist, sorry. So you know, it wasn't the hypnotist's fault. I watched the video, and it wasn't his fault. He's a very good hypnotist. However, he's quite new to the hypnosis field, so he had an accident. And I've had people that have had accidents on stage, but you know, you do your best to protect them as much as you can. So when you've got 89 up there, it's quite hard to keep track of them.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
You didn't use the watch and tell them to look at it. You just,
No, believe it or not, Glenn, I do when I do therapy. Sometimes I do actually have a watch. So not all the time, but you know why? I promise you, this is the truth. It's nothing to do with the fact that it's hypnotic. It's because it's a point of focus. I could use my finger. I could use my mouse. I could use anything. It's just that point of focus. So the watch is a point of focus. You've got, I could use a pen. All you're looking for is a point of focus. And when you've got that point of focus, people have to follow it. So they're like this. So the watch is perfect for that. And also, in their mind, a hypnotist has a watch or a spiral.
yeah, it's that link, that
Yeah, it
subconscious
is.
link to it.
It is. Absolutely. So they're easier to hypnotize in therapy. I don't use it on stage. Um, I do a pre-talk that includes the watch when I do a stage show because it's part of a joke. It's just to crack the ice and get people laughing from the start. And so I use a watch then, but I don't use it to hypnotize them on stage. No.
So I'll be honest, I actually have been hypnotized twice in an entertainment situation. Once was in Hollywood, I can't even tell you how long ago, and another time was in Vegas. And both times they started with, okay, put your arms out and close your eyes. They walked you through, tie a balloon to, and like one would go higher. And the people, those are the people they chose to come on stage. I had to
Yes.
go on stage both times.
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you why that is, Erin. And remember what I said. I've been doing this 22 years. So, and I've hypnotized hundreds of thousands of people over those 22 years in stage shows, because I might get on average 20 people on stage. So sometimes, like I said, you know, when I was doing cruise ships nearly every 10 days at one time for 6.5, 7 years. So I've hypnotized hundreds of thousands of people. I do self-hypnosis every single day for at least 15 minutes, and I still can't go deep. It took me 6 times in Las Vegas to get hypnotized by the best of the best of the best hypnotists. And even then, I wasn't as deep as I know I should be. It doesn't work with everyone in stage shows. 5 to 15% of the nation are very susceptible, very susceptible. And then the rest of them aren't. So you and I, for instance, we're not that susceptible. Glenn might be. You know, he might not. So those things you were talking about, yes, absolutely. The balloon and the book, they're tests. Your hand clasp is a test. There's certain things that we use as tests to get those 5 to 15% of people. Yeah, so we weed them out of the audience, and they're the people we're looking for. So yeah, don't. But I promise you, you could be hypnotized in therapy. Every single person, unless they're really drug fucked or unless they're really drunk, because you can't concentrate or focus when you're drug fucked or drunk. So you can't, you know, you're not, to be hypnotized, you've got to be able to focus and concentrate. If you can't do either of them, then you won't be hypnotized. I've had people come to me in therapy that have, you know, that have just taken drugs before they came, and I said, no, you have to leave. I can see you've had something. No, I haven't. Yes, yeah, you have. Yeah, you have. You need to leave. So that's because it won't work. You know, it will work with those that are open-minded. It really will.
What makes somebody more susceptible to it? Is there anything?
It's just some people. It's like see, some people are so analytical. They're, you know, sometimes they're quite hard to hypnotize. Like your accountants, you know, surveyors. So people that are very analytical, much of the time they can't get hypnotized easily. People that are used to taking orders, soldiers, police, firemen, Glenn. So people that Glenn, fireman,
Glenn,
fireman.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's so people that are used to taking orders, because as a hypnotist, you're bombarding them with suggestions, which you can either call suggestions, you know, orders, whatever you want to call them. And they're the people that are very susceptible and suggestible. And then there's those people that are they're just that way. They're just so susceptible. You know, I've got certain people that I use for demonstrations nowadays. If I'm doing something in my seminar room, or if I'm doing a course, and I'll call these people in, and they will go so. One of my ex-wives was like this. They're called somnambulists. So a somnambulist is somebody that you can hypnotize, and they go so deep that then when they wake up, they don't remember a thing. And that's,
sleepwalking.
yes, absolutely. You've just said it, Aaron. It's exactly the same as sleepwalking. That's what they are. So sleepwalkers are fantastic hypnotic subjects. And that's the sort of people you're looking for, you know. And that's when I say to you about people either use hypnosis in a good way, or they'll use it in a. If you go online and go onto YouTube and type in hypnosis gone wrong, you'll see some of the people that have used hypnosis because they've learned it on YouTube or somewhere else, and then they've gone and fucked somebody up, which isn't good. I'll give you a very quick example of that, if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
I just want to show you how people learn it in the wrong way sometimes, to do silly things with it. So there was a guy that he messaged me on Facebook once. And at the time, see, on my, I don't know if you've read, but my Facebook, I lost it back in January this year. I had 5.5 thousand followers. I had 5 other accounts attached to it. So about 10,000 people. So I used to get a lot of messages, and I've never been able to get it back. Hence the reason I've had to open a new Facebook page. But with this guy, he messaged me through the Facebook, and he said, I really need to speak to you. So I said, yeah, okay, fire away. What is it? And he said, I've been doing hypnosis for about 3 years. He said, in the last year, I've been hypnotizing a girl in Canada, and this guy was in New Zealand. And he said, I've been hypnotizing a girl in Canada online, And he said, but all of a sudden, he said, I took her back to when she was a child. And he said, and all of a sudden the line went dead. And he said, and she was freaking out before the line went dead. He said, I said, you did what? And he said, well, so what he's done is learned hypnosis on YouTube. He's been doing these bits and pieces with people, not a qualified hypnotherapist, didn't learn it online properly or in a course. And so what he's done is opened this can of worms by using this girl online, opened a can of worms of this girl going back to childhood trauma, and then the line went dead. He said, but she was freaking out, and she obviously put the phone down, or the cancelled the Skype call or whatever. And he said, no, I don't know what to do. He said, I've tried calling her. He said, I've tried. So he's left this poor girl in this state of trauma on the other end of the line on this Skype call, and he can't get hold of her. He said, I don't know what to do. I said, when you say you've been doing it for 3 years, surely you put safety factors in there before you did the call. He said, what's that? And I said, what? I said, where did you learn this? He went, oh, I've just been watching videos on YouTube. He said, and this girl, I've been doing things every now and again, fun things for the last sort of few months. And then the last year I've been doing other stuff. And I said, so you're telling me you learned this on YouTube? You've opened up this girl's can of worms from childhood trauma. She's now she's now cancelled the Skype call, and you've left her in this traumatic state. I said, and you can't get hold of her. I said, so this poor girl is doing what now? I said, she's probably in the state of just sitting in the corner like this now.
That is
I said,
terrifying.
Absolutely. And that's the problem. And I said, okay, so what are you asking me to do? He said, well, what do I do? I said, I'll give you a couple of things. Number one, you never, ever fuck around with people's minds if you don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
I said, hypnosis, you just don't do it. Number two, you need to get hold of that girl and get her onto a qualified hypnotherapist ASAP. And I was fuming. I was absolutely fuming. So I never heard from him again. And so I don't know what happened to the poor girl. But that's hypnosis in the wrong hands when somebody thinks they're clever by going to learn it online. It's so dangerous in the wrong hands because you've got these people that go so deep, and and once they're in that deep state, if you put something negative in there, it's not a good thing. Have you ever seen the movie The Manchurian Candidate?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, brilliant. That's actually based on a real story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's based on real facts. There's another movie called Trance. It's a hypnosis movie. And that's another great movie to watch as well if you ever get a chance. But what people don't understand is how susceptible some people are once they're hypnotized. When me and my ex-wife were going through a separation one time, I said, look, let's get you in to see a friend of mine. He's a hypnotist. I'd only known this guy for a few months though, but he'd been doing hypnosis for years. So my ex-wife, she was very, like I say, she was a somnambulist, one of those that goes so deep, then they wake up and don't remember. So she was a somnambulist. So she went to see this guy, and she came out of there and she went, I was sitting on the chair, she said, but then I woke up laying on the sofa. And I questioned him about it, and he didn't want to talk to me about it. So I obviously never let her go back there again, and then I never spoke to him again either. But that's the problem with somnambulists. So these people in Manchurian Candidate, that's what the soldiers that it was used on, that's what they would have been, somnambulists. And that's why you've got to be so careful with hypnosis in the wrong hands. I do hypnosis online. Oh, sorry, my apologies. Yeah, go on, Erin.
Oh, no, I was just asking about one of the things I hear about is that there are, and you talked about somebody taking drugs before they come in and things like that, but I've heard that there are some things that you can take that allow you to fall into that suggestive state faster. That just doesn't seem safe, but people still do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm not a great believer in taking anything before anything. I mean, I'm not really one for taking anything anymore. Like I say, I've lost 9 friends to drugs.
Yeah.
I've seen other people just spiral down into this fucking terrible place from taking drugs because they thought it was, you know, the in thing at the time. And so anyone that comes to me that's taken anything to try and get themselves into that, no, I don't come and see me, because you're not there for that. You know, we can get you into that lovely relaxed state naturally. You don't need to take anything to get there. And anyone that does, if it's natural products, don't mind that at all. There's some great natural products there. But no, you don't need to take anything. I'm just a great believer that if you're going to come in for hypnosis, I can't ever promise anyone one session. In fact, nowadays, I actually say to people, look, you're looking at 3 to 5 sessions. You know, although I coach people and I might see them once a month online and speak, you know, most of the time I get 3 to 5 sessions and somebody's, you know, the issue's gone. Whatever the issue was, it's gone. Whatever the problem was, it's gone. So, you know, stop smoking. Most of the time that's one session, because I've got a product that I bought out in 2008 called Happy Non-Smoker Program, using the Simply Easy method. And I've got it so finely tuned that it's one session most of the time.
Wow.
So yeah, it's incredible. So we don't have to go into a deep state. We don't need to take anything to go into that state of hypnosis. Just let it happen. You know, I can tell, Erin, that you would be somebody with an open mind. Okay, you would be. I've got no doubt.
Yeah.
So, you know, I might say to Glenn, because, you know, I know Glenn could be hypnotized. There's no ifs and no buts. Maybe not in a show, but he could be hypnotized in a therapy session. So hypnotherapy for things like you said earlier, Glenn, PTSD, is fantastic. There's amazing sessions being done with PTSD with people. You know, I always say every drug that people take, most of the time we've got it in here. We've got that in here, the chemicals.
Yeah.
You know, we've just got to draw them out. And that's the thing, you know, even people say to me, well, you know, I've had LSD and it was really good. Well, once somebody's deeply hypnotized, we can get them thinking they've had anything and they could have the happiest time of their life. And it's a natural product. It's their own mind. We've got all the chemicals we need to get great results inside our minds. So no, taking drugs before you come and see me is even to relax them. No, I don't really. I've not had anyone say that to me, Erin. I must be honest. They've not said, look, I've taken something before I've come here to help me relax and go into hypnosis. I can't think of what drug that would be, to be honest, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't. But if you'd like to tell us what it is, Erin.
I drink for sure, but when it comes to drugs, I'm allergic to most like medication. If it doesn't come from something natural, I can't take it. So for me, like I just hear these stories, you hear these things. I have no idea what they are. I even have to ask my husband, wait, what's the difference between heroin, crack, and cocaine again? Because I have no clue.
No, they'll all fuck your life up. That's
this is true.
Similar they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. And that's good. That's a good thing that you're allergic to anything like that. So that's good. Keep being allergic to it. That's what I say.
You know, I had to have a sinus surgery not too long ago, and they wanted to give me pain medicine. So I had to go down the list. I can't take that. I can't take that. I can't take that. They wound up having to give me Percocet with Benadryl.
Wow. Okay. You've just said something that's really, okay, you've just brought something up. I'm glad you brought that up. Hypnosis now is being used so much more with pain relief and people that have surgeries. And it's not just obviously you're going for one session, then you're ready for a surgery under hypnosis. It's a lead up to it. So if you said to us, Erin, look, I'm allergic to everything. I really don't know what to do because I know there's going to be some pain. You know, I don't want to feel the pain. We could start treating you sort of 3 months out. So by the time you go in for the operation, you'd be in that, you know, right, close your eyes and see yourself in this wonderful place of tranquility and peace. And what you're doing, you see, you're taking your mind completely off of what they're doing over here. And then you're in this place of absolute beauty, of peace, of tranquility. And that's how it works. So many, many people nowadays are using hypnosis before they go in for operations or for childbirth. It's huge for childbirth now because instead of pain, all you feel is like a little pressure. That's all you're feeling. It's like a pressure. because they're getting you obviously everything in here, and the pain receptors, they're obviously getting them to just feel like a little pressure rather than pain.
That's a lot of pressure, though. Just saying, if you've ever squeezed something the size of a watermelon out the size of a hole of a lemon,
Oh yeah, I bet. Oh look, I honestly, mums to me, I've got 4 beautiful children, and thank you, whoever's up there, or whatever. But I've got 4 beautiful children, and I admire ladies so much for what they go through to give birth. It's the most incredible thing. And then I think mothers have got the hardest job in the world. I really do. It's incredible. So, well done to mums. And you're right. I certainly couldn't even imagine squeezing something.
Kidney stone hurts.
Yes, exactly. Let alone a baby's head. Yeah. So kidney stones probably hurt enough, let alone a baby's head. Yeah.
And I think a lot of this, what you talk about, has been weaponized. By
absolutely.
Governments. And I can't go into a lot of detail, but I picked up somebody for a 3-letter agency that he was fucked up, and he needed massive surgery in the country he was in. He couldn't get it. And so it was my job to fly him 40 hours straight. I gave him every drug I had on that aircraft. I was down to Benadryl. That's what made me think of this. And he kept saying, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm like, dude, I don't want to know anything. In fact, shut up. Yeah. But he was trained not to have the pain medicine work, so that whatever it was he did, he couldn't tell anyone.
That's terrifying.
Okay. All right. Yeah. You've just pulled something up now, Glenn, that's, if you ever read the story of Saran, I think that was his name, the one that killed one of the presidents. Saran, I'm sure his name is. If you look it up on the internet, it comes out. But he says that he was hypnotized to kill that particular person. Then he was hypnotized to not remember that he was hypnotized to kill that particular person. And people go, no, that's rubbish. That can't work. Believe me, it can. I've seen the power of hypnosis. I actually treated. The mind is phenomenal, and those that are in that, so he would be a somnambulist. So when they're hypnotized to forget that they've been hypnotized to do something, that's somnambulism. But the mind is phenomenal. I must tell you about a young lady that I treated. So I was on a cruise ship, and this is how incredible our minds are. And people that go, oh, hypnosis is rubbish. That's okay. Look, you've got your belief. That's okay. That's your opinion. I've seen the power of it over thousands of people. This young lady, I was on a ship and I performed a show. When I got off the ship, I got a phone call, and it was this guy, and he said, look, a friend of mine was on the ship that you just came off, and he said, you did a great show and it was really funny. He said, we'd love you to do a show. He said, I noticed you're on the Gold Coast in Australia. We're in Brisbane, which is only an hour away. He said, my daughter's turning 30, and he said, the only trouble is she may not see Christmas out. This was in September. He said she's got a disease, a very rare disease. And he said, we really want her to have fun and laughter on her 30th. All her family are going to be there, every friend she's ever made, because she's got this rare disease. There's only 3 people in Australia that have got this particular disease. And it basically just takes away every bit of muscle that you've got. And so he said, look, he said there's 3 people, and 2 of them was his wife and his daughter. It was amazing. So I said, okay, yeah, I can do that for you. I went to this party, and this girl, she was in a wheelchair, and honest to God, she was a vegetable like this, just a complete vegetable, couldn't move a muscle, she would look up and just sort of like that. And this poor little darling, she was so beautiful as well. And she, at 16 or 17, they started noticing that she was falling over at university. So no, she was older because she was at uni at the time. She kept falling over. Before then, she was fine, walking around doing this and doing this. And she started falling over. Then they did tests and realized she had the same disease as her mum. And then all of a sudden her body started just fading away. So over the next 14 years, her body was just fading away. So for the last 3 years, this poor girl was in a wheelchair. And I was doing the show at her party. There was loads of people there because, like I say, they didn't think she would live after Christmas. And then she was right at the front of the stage. And I kept looking down at her and she was laughing like that. You know, just this lovely smile on this girl's face. And I thought, oh, that's bizarre, because I thought every bit of muscle had gone. I didn't think she could think or do anything. And what really broke my heart was they did the father and daughter dance. And it broke my heart having children. And this guy had to pick his 30-year-old daughter up out of her wheelchair. And she was just like this rag doll. And he was holding her, you know, she must have been very heavy, because it would have been like a sack of potatoes, you know, like she was so heavy. And it broke my heart to see. I actually cried because I was just watching it and thought, oh my God, it was so sad. This guy had slept in his daughter's room for 6 years, every night holding her hand, because she was going into this place where she was just, you know, this vegetable. Anyway, cut a long story short, 3 days later, I phoned the guy and I said, look, Glenn, his name was Glenn as well. I said, Glenn, I said, can I ask you? I said, I noticed that Kristen was looking up at the stage and laughing at. I said, has she got, you know, can she focus and can she concentrate as well? And he went, Mark, she's as sharp as a tack in here. Her body has just given up.
Mm.
And I went, oh, I said, look, can I come and do, because I'd already helped people with strokes before this, where we connected the dead side of the brain to the good side. So we got the good side of the brain to compensate for the dead side. Yeah. And it does it. It starts connecting all these pathways so I've helped people with strokes. So I thought, I'm sure I could help this girl in some way. I said, look, can I come and do some sessions with Kristen? I said, I drive past your house every second week to take my daughters back to their mums. I said, so when I've dropped them at school, I'll come back and he went, I said, I won't charge you. I just want to see if we can do anything. And he went, okay, all right. Yeah, sure. Anyway, did the first session. I noticed this girl started going really deep. Second session, I did the second session. She went deep. Remembering she's been in the wheelchair for 3 years. When I got back to my office, I got a phone call from the dad, crying his eyes out, crying and blubbering on the phone. And I thought, oh, fuck, what's wrong with it? I said, Glenn, what's wrong, mate? And he went, Mark, he said, Kristen has just got out of her wheelchair and walked 15 steps.
Wow.
It still gives me goosebumps now. And he said her physio that's worked with her for the last 3 years, if he wasn't here to see it, he said he would never, ever, ever have believed it. She got out and walked 15 steps. So I actually then started working with her a little bit more. And it was absolutely phenomenal. However, you know, may she rest in paradise. They were giving her so many drugs that she left in the end, obviously passed over about 3 months later. And so she's a phenomenal young lady. Anyway, you're not going to believe this. When we say the mind and that are connected, the mind to the body, I treated her dad a couple of times for therapy because he had a broken heart. This guy, like I say, he was so close to his daughter. He died nearly a year later of a broken heart. This man was as fit as a fiddle. He died of a broken heart. That's how much the mind and body are connected. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to tell you that story because that's how powerful the mind is. She got up and walked after 3 years of being a vegetable in a wheelchair, and she got up and walked 15 steps.
Well, they say that couples who've been together for so long tend to die within a year of each other.
Yeah.
And that's just, and it doesn't seem to matter what pre-existing health conditions they have. If they've been together 30, 40, 50 years, they just go together. I mean, I saw that with my grandparents. My father lasted a couple of years past his wife, but honestly, we didn't expect him to live past 1 year. It was a sheer miracle he did, but they were just so connected. And he wanted to be with her. Every moment of every day was talking about her and, you know, how much he missed her and all of that. And you can absolutely see the body-mind connection at that point.
Yeah. It's phenomenal. May they rest in paradise as well. Yeah, it is amazing. It's incredible. The mind is phenomenal. And that's why I say that I can only get to a certain level of empathy with people, because I then go, no, you fucking got it to do it. You've got it in here to do it. Put some effort into it, and then you'll do it.
Mhm.
Yeah, some people just give up too easy, and it's a shame because look, I've got a sister that came out of prison. She was in there for murder. She did 17 years, and it was a fight she got into with another girl that was there to do the same to her, and it turned out that she was the one that it was either kill or be killed, and
Yeah.
so I adore her, but she got into drugs and drinking, and that's when all this started happening. So she got put away, but her mindset changed so much inside the prison. Now she's out, she's a completely different person. Her mindset, she could easily go back to the old ways, but she won't. Her mindset has changed so much, she's totally turned her life around. And, she says she took course after course after course inside prison. She did this and did that. And, she used her mindset in the right way.
Mhm.
So I know that people can do it. Even these people that come out of prison, they can do it. Of course you can do it. Turn your life around. You can do it. Just use this.
So many of the people, I mean, I know somebody, a very dear friend of mine used to work in the jails here where I'm at, and I know that there are a lot of resources if you set your mind to it, if you use it. And that's what it comes down to. Your sister obviously saw the resources and said, I don't want to do this anymore. So she found, the inner strength to, pull out of it and utilize the resources that are there. So many of them don't.
You've just said it, Aaron. Look, I'm somebody who's a great believer in, I don't care, what creed, what color, what religion, what anything. You can change your life if you have the want to change it and stop being a victim. That's the worst thing that people could do, is be a victim, because there's so many people that, either the same religion as you, the same color as you, the same issues as you, that have gone off and done something with their life. Why? Because they've used this.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. You've got to have the want, and then it doesn't boil down to all those other things that people use as an excuse not to do anything with their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
it's
I've had friends who say, well, I didn't grow up with a dad. So, I have no male role model. So I only have the people I saw on the street. And so I'm a horrible man or woman in these, in some cases. It's like, well, okay, I didn't exactly grow up with a great male role model. He wasn't involved in my life as a kid very much. I'm not with a horrible man. I'm with an amazing man. I don't expect a man to treat me badly. I demand that a man treats me right. And it's all about your, inner fortitude, how you really put your mind to use. And I refuse to accept less just because of how I grew up. I
well
don't
done.
use that as an excuse.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, and that's like Glenn. He could use the excuse that he hasn't got proper use of his left hand anymore. He's had PTSD. He could use that excuse to do nothing with his life. However, he chooses not to use, and it's choice. He
Mhm.
chooses not to use that as an excuse. He chooses to actually do something else with what he's got left. And that is exactly what I say to people. Whatever you've got left, use it. If you want to move forward and do something with your life, use it for that. I can't stand excuses, honestly. It really, like I say, there's so many people that have been through so many things, and they've come out the other side incredibly. One of my favorite people is probably Shaq O'Neal, and I love
Yes.
Shaq. Oh, what an amazing man that is.
His
You know,
story is
it's incredible,
insane.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that. That to me, I love people's stories. What you've done today is you've allowed me to come on and share my story. Erin has just shared her story. She grew up, fatherless. I don't know how you grew up, Glenn, but there's two people out of this three that grew up fatherless. And yet we've made something. And
Three
you,
out of
so
three.
3 out of 3. There you go, 3 out of 3. And yet we're all doing things with our lives instead of sitting there wallowing in our own shit.
Mhm.
Yeah. Too many people wallow in it, and that's the problem. Instead of getting help, they'd rather wallow in it.
Oh my
And
God.
pity parties.
I sometimes keep the anger towards it, but otherwise I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for all the hand gestures and the excitement. I'm so sorry. But I have a son. He's 26 years old now, and I used to tell him that, don't be like your dad. Your dad likes to wallow in his own misery. He is a wallower. Don't let him get to you. Don't do it. And like I would tell him almost exactly the thing that you just said about wallowing. And I've not really heard a lot of people say it that way. So I got like super excited for a minute.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, it's a great word, isn't it? It's a great phrase, because that is the problem. People wallow in their own shit from the past,
Yes.
and they invite everybody to the pity party. Who wants to come to my pity party? No, fuck that. Fuck the pity party.
Yes.
Go to another party, a motivational party. Go to a party where you've got 3 other people that grew up fatherless that can tell you it doesn't matter if you grew up fatherless, you can still do something with your life. Stop using that. All this pity. Yeah, I'm not one for that. Fuck. No, I'm not. It frustrates the shit out of me. And that does.
Not being a paramedic when you continually run the same call on the same person. It's like, come on,
yes. And absolutely, and all credits to those people. Those paramedics, like I said to you, I thank everybody, paramedics, firemen, policemen, women, for their service. That would be very, very hard. I've got a friend who's a teacher as well, and she has these kids in her class that are the same naughty kids that are do the same thing every time, and these kids will do nothing with their life if they're not careful.
Yeah.
However, you've got to blame the parents as well, because the parents, the school will phone the parent, and the parent do nothing about it. So you can either change and help your kids change, or you can carry on just doing the same old thing day in, day out. I don't know. I've got a lot of, I do admire the police and fire women, firemen, the soldiers, all of those people. I do have a lot of respect for them. Who?
Dispatchers.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. That would be hard. Like Glenn said, you get, let's say, for instance, you're a dispatcher on the same call, and you hear the same voice again. Oh, I've got Fred. He's overdosed again. This is the 10th time. Fucking get out and get some help then. Stop.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Do you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
God, that would be hard.
Yeah.
I couldn't be a dispatcher. I would find it hard to be somebody that deals with the same person all the time. Like I said to you, I've got a certain amount of empathy, but then it would stop. So those, dispatchers, the police, the paramedics, when they go to the same person time after time after time after time, that'd be very hard. And all credit to them for doing it. Well done to them.
One of the hardest things that we deal with, I'm a dispatcher, and one of the hardest things I see in my profession is that people become apathetic. They hear the same stories, they see the same stuff over and over and over again, and they just let it suck their love of humanity away. And it impacts not just how they talk to the callers, it impacts how they talk to the responders as well. And it's sad. And I look at it, I'm like, okay, every day I'm out here doing something to help somebody. And yeah, I might get the same call from the same person 10 times. And this guy might eventually die because of his drug use. But somebody else 2 calls later really truly wants and needs my help. And if I let myself wallow in the drug user, I'm not going to be able to help the other person.
Yeah. Well done. That's exactly right. You've got to, as a dispatcher, as a paramedic, police person, whoever you are in that field, I suppose it's like a client coming into me that, I have to put that barrier up, and I won't take on board their issues and problems. Because otherwise you do start feeling sorry for them. And when I first started, that's what I was doing. I was taking all their issues on board. Then I realized that I would finish the day feeling down in the dumps. And I'm quite a positive person. You know, I do see the riches in life, and not monetary riches. I see the riches that us three are on here now. I can see you two. You know, we can speak, we can hear. They're riches. They're the real riches in life, you know. So I used to think, hang on a second, I'm feeling down in the dumps about these clients today. So then I had to start putting a barrier up. So now I can see clients that come in with the worst, you know, issues and problems, and it doesn't affect me. And that's the same as dispatchers and things, and anybody in that field, firemen, firewomen. You know, you get to a certain stage where you've got to put that barrier up so that you can move on to the next person. And obviously you've done that now, so well done. Yeah, that would be hard, because you would take it on board, wouldn't you?
You do. You know, you sometimes, and one of the biggest issues, at least from the dispatcher perspective, not as, you know, the paramedic, firefighter, police perspective, we don't usually get resolution.
No closure. Yeah.
No closure.
Right. Of course. Yeah, of course.
And if there is closure, it's worst case scenario, and it's here.
Yes.
So we have to find a way to take a deep breath, shove it aside, talk it out, get rid of it, and be able to go on to the next.
Yeah.
And, you know, that takes a mental fortitude that is just shocking. I just don't see a lot of people who can do stuff like that.
No, you've got to be a certain type of person to do it, without a doubt. You've got to be a certain type of person. Absolutely. Yeah. And same as fireman, you've got to be a certain type of person to do that. I mean, that's like, yeah, that would be very hard.
Yeah, you wound up on a show full of first responders. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, we kind of ganged up on you. I've got to ask, do you have any paranormal stories?
Not really. Like, I've got many friends that are psychics and mediums, and some of them are absolutely amazing. I've got one friend that is absolutely amazing and incredible. So some of the things that she says are incredible. I've seen ghosts. That's as far as paranormal goes with me. I've seen ghosts. Actually, this might interest you. I've got this thing where if I stare at people for a long time, their face either morphs into a very old person or it doesn't. If it morphs into an old person, the way I look at it and go, they're going to grow old. Yeah. I started realizing it when I started doing hypnotherapy, and I would sit there looking at the person, saying to them, look into my eyes and just feel your eyes getting very, very heavy. And I used to look at them. So I'd look at them in the eyes, excuse me. But then, excuse me, what I realized was when I was looking at them, all of a sudden, their face started morphing, and I'd be going, so I'm looking at them, but really in my head, I'm thinking, what the fuck? and I'm trying to concentrate and focus with them because they're still looking at me. And I'm sitting there thinking, and all of a sudden their face would morph into this old person. I'd go, oh my God, but I couldn't say that because they'd freak them out. So I'd go, yeah, just keep looking into my eyes. So what I then realized, I wonder why it kept happening. So I don't do that anymore. I do a different method now because it's a little bit freaky when all of a sudden these people's faces start to morph or they don't morph. So I see them potentially as an old person, so it means they're going to get old, or I don't see them as an old person, which means that they may be taken off the face of the earth and, you know, sent wherever they go. So yeah, so that's probably as paranormal as it gets.
Either that or they're lizard people, one or the other.
Lizard people.
Yeah.
But historically, if you think about it from a historical perspective, it wasn't until somewhere between the 70s and 90s that hypnosis really started taking a step out of being considered paranormal, because there were the fads in the 70s, and then it kind of came back again slightly in the 80s, and in the 90s it's where it really started taking kind of its more therapeutic bent. But prior to all of that, anything having to do with hypnosis was magicians, stage magic, stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fun. I'm glad you brought that up, Aaron, because now this might sound a bit bizarre, but it's fact. There's a lot of cultures that still look at it as black magic, and a lot of religions they
Yes.
still look at it as black magic or the cult or think of the occult or things like that. So it's not. It's it's like meditation. I always say hypnosis is like meditation with a positive end result. Yeah, because meditation, you're sitting there just allowing yourself to drift into a nice trance. Hypnosis is you've got that guide, the hypnotist, taking you into that nice trance. And then the hypnotist is using suggestions and taking you to the right place inside your mind, taking you there to get great results. Whereas meditation doesn't. Meditation takes you there and you just meditate. Yeah, and that's what hypnosis is. It's like a meditation with a good end result, a positive end result. But many, many people, many cultures, many, like I say, religions still look at it as
Oh,
black
yes.
magic.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
very,
yes.
It's adding that extra element, because even, Catholicism, all of that, they talk prayer. Prayer
yeah,
is meditation. Any of the Hindus and all of that, so many religions are based or have some sort of meditation involved. It's when
yeah,
you add that third party, somebody guiding your meditation and taking you to a
Mhm.
slightly different state, that's suddenly when it becomes black magic.
yes,
And
yeah,
and the only reason is because that third person is maybe not ordained in the religion.
yeah,
So if I was Catholic and I was in prayer with a priest, it's fine. But if I was a Catholic and I was being hypnotized with you, I'm suddenly practicing witchcraft and black magic. What's the difference?
great way of looking at it. Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it, actually, and it is absolutely true. It's many religions. See, many religions don't like hypnosis because it's too close to what they're doing to their followers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
that's how I look at it.
Yes.
If you look at some of these evangelists, and they pull these people back on stage, and I do all that in a hypnosis show. You know,
Heal.
heal exactly, but I don't say heal. You see, but that's right. It's exactly what it is. The same.
Yeah.
I promise you. So what they do, they heighten this state of everything. All your senses are heightened, and that's what evangelists do. They heighten the senses of everybody in the audience, and then to get somebody on stage and just go like that, it looks so powerful. And that's what we do. If I do that on stage, if I hypnotize someone and just really get them hyped up, and they just go sleep, and they go and it's phenomenal to see.
Super dramatic.
It is absolutely dramatic. It's the only reason that hypnotists use it, because it's dramatic.
Yeah.
It's not that you're hypnotizing people any deeper by doing it, but that's exactly what evangelists do. They do exactly that. And look, it works for them. People, whatever beliefs you've got, I'm not somebody who disbelieves in anything, because I've seen so many things. So whatever it is, whatever belief you've got, if you believe that you're going to get healed by that person saying heal, or sucking the devil out of their head by doing this or whatever, then that's your belief. That's the way it goes. But it's the heightened awareness, that because when you hypnotize in a deep state, all of your senses are so heightened, it's incredible. And
Mhm.
some of the somnambulists that I use for demonstrations, to see them, you would think it's black magic. You would think it's
Uh,
this whoa. And
I've
like you
seen
say, it's phenomenal. It really
uh,
is.
I've seen a person like you were talking about that's easily put in that deep level layer, whatever you call it, and used by a different person. They become time travelers, and they
Yeah,
can go places and see things. And some of my friends that work for three-letter agencies, this is some of the things our government pays for and does. It's finding people like that. And then now I don't know if it's when they come back. I don't know if it was their imagination. Were they really on Mars? Hell, they may have been. I don't know.
yeah,
Were they back fighting in the battle there in Gettysburg? Because they can see it, they can hear it, they can feel it. Were they really there?
yeah.
I don't know, but I've seen that done, and it's amazing. I took a course with a three-letter agency, and we were doing remote viewing. I'm sure you've heard of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they told me I was quite good at it, but I still don't believe them. But anyhow, we were he said pick something that we were really fascinated and wanted to know about. And this was post 9/11. And so my target, what happened to Flight 93. And in this, whatever level you want to call it, I was there. I had conversation with the terrorist on the plane. Now, I've never watched a movie about Flight 93. I've never read any books. I don't believe the bullshit about they called from 10,000 feet, whatever. I don't believe any of that. That's all made up by the government. But I was there, and when I was abruptly pulled out of it, the only thing I saw was a Canadian flag on the back of an aircraft, on the back of a jet.
Yeah.
When it suddenly just poof, went away. And so I was explaining this to my person that works in the 3-letter agency. He says, well, that's because Canada shot that plane down. Our aircraft don't have the capability to shoot down an American airliner, but the Canadians do. And I was like, wow. And I asked him, I said, okay, this is bullshit. He goes, no, I know this for a fact because of my job. And I was like, I was there. He goes, yes, you were. He goes, you could take a polygraph and you could tell him everything about that flight and you would pass with a phenomenal review. And I still don't know in my head. I still wonder, is that BS or was I really there? I don't know. But
I'm suddenly more terrified of Canadians than I ever was before. Australians are still top of the list, though.
Everything in Australia wants to kill you. You walk outside with a plant and you look at the plant and it spits in your eye, you're dead.
Yeah, absolutely. It's incredible. And you know what? I moved here 22 years ago. I'd never been here before. I moved from London because, like I said, you've got to change your environment and then change your life. Yeah, change your mindset. So it was I always knew I'd move abroad, and because I knew that staying in London wasn't good for me. And so I actually did that. And you're right. I used to do a lot of tours doing shows around Australia, and we would see the biggest of brown snakes just crossing the road in these countries. We'd see spiders this big. We'd see, other ones this big that would kill you with a bite, little redbacks. They're beautiful looking spiders, but it's amazing. But then you'd see the beautiful animals like the koalas. You'd see the kangaroos and emus.
Have you ever seen a wet koala? That thing's going to fuck you up.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they're so dangerous. Fortunately, I never got into a fight with one of them, but yes. A
wet koala, that thing, it features in my nightmares. And then there's the jacked up, roided out fucking kangaroos that are.
Yeah. And they're truly that big, Aaron. They're huge. They are massive. Yeah. And if they put their foot through you, because they fight you, they stand on their tail and fight you with their back legs. And if they put their foot through you, because they obviously at the stomach level, they go straight through you.
Yeah.
Can I?
You're not.
It's beautiful. No, honestly, Australia is the most incredible country. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. I really do. And I'm so proud to be Australian. I signed and sealed on the dotted line after 2 years, gave up my British citizenship, and I'm Australian now. But can I go back slightly? I just want to go back, if you don't mind, because of you bringing all this other stuff up. I do past life regression with some people, and I'll tell you, because Glenn was saying obviously the remote viewing. That's absolutely. I believe in the remote viewing. Like, I've never done it with anyone, but I believe in it so much. And I've heard some great stories. But some of the past life regression that I deal with is amazing. And I want to tell you about one, because she's actually, she's a lovely lady, and she had problems with her throat for years and years and years. And they kept saying, look, we need to operate on it, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so she came to me and she was actually taking a course with me. And she said, look, can we do a past life regression? So I said, yeah, of course we can. So I sat in front of the other students and I did this past life regression with this lady. We went back to a life before this life. And whether you believe in it or not, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm pretty sure you two might, but other people that are watching, it doesn't matter if you don't believe in it. I mean, everyone with their own beliefs, that's fine. But I took her back to a past life. And in the past life, she was a witch, and they were hanging her.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, makes sense. So what her problem was with her throat was that the noose. They were hanging her in her past life. So we took her back before they were hanging her. And then when we brought her back to now, her throat was getting better and better and better. Isn't that bizarre? So that was a very, the students were shitting themselves. I must tell you, they
I can
fucking
tell,
freaked
yeah.
out because, yeah.
Well, I believe, yeah. Well, I have a rare brain disease, and every astronaut has my same disease. Anybody who's been in outer space has my disease. It's called intracranial hypertension. Mine's in remission now, thank God. Knock on some
my
wood.
niece has that.
And it's a very, yeah, they say only people who've been in space have it. Well,
wow.
Everybody who's been in space has it. Inside kid, everybody said, "Oh, I was abducted." But I wonder if, no, I mean, maybe in a past life I was one of the astronauts.
Maybe, absolutely.
In training or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So I've heard also kind of, they call it I think that I'm probably getting this wrong. It's the fractured soul idea of past life regression, where little bits of people's souls wind up kind of eventually conglomerated together. So that's how you're getting people who, 50, 100 people who say, well, I was Cleopatra in a past life. Well, it might be possible because maybe part came forward. Maybe it took some of these bits and pieces from all of these different past lives to come together to create the you that you are.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I must say I'm a believer that if anyone can tell our future, I would like to meet them. I don't believe people can tell our future. I believe we can do a lot to make our future better. I don't believe anyone can tell our future, and even these psychics that I know, and it's like I say, some of them are amazing, but I don't believe they can do everything. They might be able to tell you you might meet this guy and he's going to be the guy of your life. Well, that could be guessing. I don't believe we can see our future. However, because we've been in the past, we can obviously see our past because we've been there, even if it was an afterlife, or a previous life rather. So we've been there. I believe the only future that we can see, and we'll only see it when we get there, is the afterlife, if there's an afterlife. No matter what religion you're in, if there's an afterlife, you'll see it when you get there. And that's how I believe, that's how I look at the future.
So, I mean, I used to do tarot card readings a lot. And one of the things that I noticed is that I could usually get I don't do it anymore, energy, weird things. It's freaky sometimes because I got a little too close to things. But I used to do these tarot card readings, and I noticed that I could pinpoint their past. Their past was super easy. I could give them an exact rundown of like everything, barring names, of everything that had happened. But when it came to the future, it was always very vague. And I always just ascribed it to being that it's not set yet. We don't know. It's literally me sitting here trying to read your cards could alter them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and that's a great way of putting it. And that's from somebody who used to read cards a lot. So, that's how I look at it. I would look at it exactly the same as you. You can see a certain part of the future. You certainly can't see everything. Otherwise, I look at it and go, well, any people that can see the future would be multi-billionaires because they would win the lottery. They would do this. They would do that. That's how I look at it. So I totally agree with you there. I believe that you can see. Cards are amazing. Card readers are fantastic. So I don't know. I just look at it that card reading to me is a great thing. I know a lot of card readers, and some of the stuff they sort of pull out on these cards, and you just go, fucking hell. So
Right.
yeah, it's great.
I mean, some of it's psychological because you can read. There's a body language involved that you just are subconsciously picking up on. But sometimes there's no accounting for what you're feeling and seeing. because you may not know the person that's there very well, but you're suddenly picking up all of this history, and it's there and it's blatant. And this person could be in a business suit in front of you, but you can tell them that 5 years ago they were cracked out on the street selling themselves for money. There's no remnants of that in front of you, and you didn't know them then, but yet you know them.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. That was brilliant. That's brilliant. That to me is all part of paranormal stuff. You know, I look at that and go, fuck, that's bizarre, but it's great. I do love all that stuff. I do like it. I mean, I did a Ouija board once many years ago. Yeah, no, it scared the shit out of me, because this was when I was about 15, and we were doing the Ouija board, and we asked it a question, and this board just went and it went, whoa. So we never did it again. But some of those things are just amazing, honestly. I never did it again, but that's
don't.
No, I won't. No, don't worry.
I've had guests on the show that have had such horrible experiences. So but then I've had other people say it's how you close it is, you didn't cut it off. And that was the problem. And that's the psychological thing with you and the board, whatever. Absolutely. I don't care. I don't touch it, but
don't touch it.
Yeah. No. Just leave it. But you sell it in the damn toy aisle like Barbie Ouija board. What the fuck? I don't understand. There's it's made by Kenner or Fisher Price.
Yeah.
If it's Barbie, it's made by Mattel. Thank you.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Just ask Ken. Yeah. Yeah.
The Ken's not anatomically correct, but that's another story. So
well, politically correct, incorrect. I mean, all of that's gone a bit too far as well nowadays, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Amen. Amen.
Although my daughter has a little plastic pig figurine that is anatomically correct, and it's a little disturbing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Every so often I'm helping her clean a room, and I pick it up. I'm like, ew.
But how do you pick it up? With what part? Yes. See that?
On the ear.
Ew. She's intrigued by it.
No. That's it.
No, don't they have corkscrew ding-alongs?
They do have corkscrew.
They do indeed. Yes.
Ew.
Yes, I know that, but yes.
So how much porn have you been watching, Glenn?
No, my uncle's a veterinarian, and I used to work summers helping him on large animal calls. Thank you. So
and I know it's got a twirly one because I use it as a corkscrew to get the wine bottle in it. So
hey, in a raccoon, it's an actual bone, I'm told. So,
is it really? Wow,
I don't know if that's true, but I've heard that from many people that are hunters. They're like,
hence where the term boner came from. Yeah, correct. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow. My
paramedic instructor said there's 106 bones in the body, or 206 bones in the body. Well, maybe 207 sometimes.
If a girl's lucky.
That's right. She says as she takes another sip of wine.
It's too bad you're in Tennessee and I'm in Georgia. Damn it. So.
Yeah.
Mark, I have enjoyed this conversation so much.
Glad. Thank you, so have I.
And I do believe that there was some fate that you are the New Year's Day show, the first show of the year, where we're going to be changing it to the Sportcat show. We're still doing the paranormal stuff, but we're changing it. And you have such positive messages. It's great.
Thank you. Yeah. And again, all I'll say is thank you. I've really enjoyed it, like I say, and it's been fun. I do love fun things. I think having you both on there was really good. It's a great idea to have two people on there as well. It's brilliant. Erin's good fun, and you're great. I mean, you've both got great personalities. I love that, and you both got the energy and I love people that have fun. I love people that aren't too politically correct, and I enjoy people that don't mind a bit of swearing as well, because I was brought up swearing. That was it's something. The word "fuck" to me is just a word like hello. It's it's just one of those things. So, yeah, it is exactly, and it's funny, isn't it? Somebody pointed it out. It's in the dictionary, and I promise you, I never knew that. And they pointed it out a month ago, and I went, what? So,
it's a noun, an adverb, an adjective. It's an everything word. Fuck is the most versatile word in the world.
I love it. I love the word fuck. I do. Yeah, I do. It's a great word. Yes, absolutely. Oh, well, that's yeah, exactly. There you go. So you're talking about pigs, things, and raccoons,
Her
willies,
mind
and
is.
yes, there you go. I do wish, and if you ever get stuck for somebody to come back on, there's still loads to talk about.
Well,
So please
we
bear
still
in
have you
mind.
in the books for January, and Amanda was looking forward to it. She couldn't be here today, but I might still have you come on because she said, "I want to be hypnotized. I want to be hypnotized." And I'm like, "Oh, please."
Yeah, and it's one of those things. We'd do a couple of tests with her, but I don't know if I would. I don't. It's funny because during COVID, um, like many people, I lost absolutely everything because I couldn't work on the ships. I couldn't see clients. I couldn't do seminars or courses or shows on land. I lost absolutely everything. I had to move into my offices, and I lost the house. Just everything, say you name it, I lost it. So again, I had to build it up. Now I could have sat and wallowed in that shit, but I didn't. It's move forward, move forward. We're still here. People lost their lives with that sort of stuff, and so I sort of look at it and go, well, we can either keep wallowing in it or we can push forward and move forward. And I've bizarrely enough, I forgot where the fuck I was going with that conversation. Isn't that bizarre? But again, it's a part of moving forward. We've got to move forward. We've got to just keep pushing through no matter what you're going through. And the new year is a great way to stop procrastinating. That's the worst thing you could do, because procrastination is, honestly, it's for people that haven't made up their mind to move forward, and they're quite happy to do nothing. But don't procrastinate, move forward. And I do wish that everybody that watches this, including you two, I do wish you the best for 2025 and onwards. And whatever you want, whatever you dream of, and your dreams and goals, achieve them. Nothing's stopping you from achieving them. So, go ahead and achieve what you can. But remember, this will do it for you.
Yes.
This and a lot of hard work, I promise you. But, thank you so
Mhm.
much.
Oh, absolutely. And if somebody wants to find you, where can they find you?
Well, there's a couple of, if they want to go and download my free ebook version of the Rogue Hypnotist,
Good book,
just
by the way.
thank you, the roguehypnotist.com. Or if they want to find me and find out about therapy online or anything, or talk to me as a coach, they can go to hypnotist.com.au. So .com.au is obviously the Australian version. So hypnotist.com.au. But if you don't want to come and see me, absolutely fine. Watch us on here, because I've had great fun with these two. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. All right, Mark. Well, I'm going to let you go because I'm sure we took up way too much of your time, but I will hopefully be talking to you in a few weeks, maybe, and get you back here. So
I'll look forward to it. Have a wonderful Christmas. Merry Christmas. I'm going to say Merry Christmas, not
you
Happy
too.
Holidays. Merry Christmas.
Merry
And
Christmas.
and Happy New Year to you both. Thank you so much, to you and your families. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Well done.
To you as well,
Thank you.
Mark. Thank you.
See you guys. Thank you.
Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye. That was fate.
That was awesome. Wow.
That really was. That was fate. We were going for something different, but I think we wound up with something better. So
I think so too. I mean, what better way to start their new year? I mean, that's so positive. It's like a kick in the ass dose of positivity. Look,
exactly.
You find it in your head. You've got the switch up here. Use it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Is it? Wasn't it? What was
Nike?
the coach? Well, just do it. And then I was thinking of the coach for the Raiders. Just win, baby. Just win.
Yeah.
So, all right, Aaron. Well, I'm going to take us out of here with the song, and then you and I will chat here soon. But thank you for coming on. Everybody have a Merry Christmas, because we're still in Christmas, even though you're going to see this on New Year's Day. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year.
And don't freak out when you see the banner up there says the Sportcat Show. I'll still have the paranormal guys. We're still there, but we're making some changes for the better. So
change is never a bad thing, and this is the time to do it.
That's right. That's why I picked the first of the year. Now I just got to find the right damn button. So
I got a button.
Let's try and find that button. which I'll have to. What kind of wine was that? I'll just pick some up on the way. So
Yeah.
everybody have a great New Year. We'll see you soon.